Oh man, I'm so excited about today. I'm about to list my house and let's go. Hey everybody, it's time to come on in. Hello? Hello? Where'd all the buyers go? What a freaking ripoff. Everyone told me that if I sold my house right now, that 1 million offers would come in the very next day and I'd probably get $50,000 more than my offer price. Stupid. Man, why did I even pause to listen? Well, check it out. It is true now that in some parts of the country, we're starting to experience the slowdown. In fact, the buyers have a little bit of return of power, especially in the markets that were so overinflated, they're paying their price now.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
All right, it's the question of the day. Are housing prices about to plunge? Well, guess what? We're about to find out. Wait, Kris, what are you talking about? You've been doing nothing on your channel and everyone, all the media news outlets that are saying the prices are going up and up and up. Are you telling me that all of a sudden things have changed? Well, today we're going to talk about a massive study that was performed by Bloomberg, and they're talking about the overheated market starting to cool off.
It's a cold town.
In fact, this is a direct quote. No city exemplifies the mania of the COVID-era U.S. housing market better than Boise, Idaho, where prices have surged by more than 30% in the past year. But in a sudden reversal, buyers are now the ones with the power. In other words, before the seller's like, I can pretty much name my price and you're going to pay it no matter what because I'm going to get my offer. And now all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, crickets. Where did all the buyers go? Now, I want to be clear. That was about Boise. I'm not talking about the United States as a whole. We do have some of these overinflated previous markets that are starting to cool off a little bit. Check this out. While much of the country is still seeing record price increases and plunging listings, in some destinations, builders who could hardly put up homes fast enough now have inventory sitting. You're seeing the fear of missing out switching from buyers to sellers. Now, sellers are afraid of not scoring the way they saw their neighbors about a year ago. In other words, the tables have turned in some of these markets. And in today's video, I want to talk about which markets are starting to feel that impact, while the rest of the country obviously has markets that are still on the rise. Now, a few months back, there's a video up in this top corner where I talked about the 5 markets that are so massively overpriced. And I'm like, dang, this is kind of crazy. And it was weird for me because it's literally the market that I live in. Let's check it out. Top of the list, we did talk about Boise, Idaho. And by the way, their listing prices, 81% of listings have been cut in price. That's massive. By the way, they were near top of the list for basically being the most overinflated market. Coincidence? I think not. We also have Provo, Utah. Ogden certainly made the list. We've got another part of Boise City here, Salt Lake City, Denver. We've got a part of this Midwest region that is basically having over half of them are experiencing these price cuts. But of course, it also goes into Columbus and Indianapolis in Indiana, Fresno, California. We're also seeing that in other parts of Ogden, Longview, Denver. In other words, there are certain markets that have been so overvalued that people got excited and all of a sudden all this inventory splashed in the market. But you have to understand that supply and demand is a real thing. It's an actual number. And for just a brief period when there wasn't enough homes, everyone was selling their homes for way more than they should have. And that correction in those markets is now starting to be felt. Listen, it all comes back to these very basic fundamental forces of supply and demand. You see, we talk about the United States as a whole, and we're like, wow, the entire market is heated up. That's never really entirely true. There are 324 submarkets that make up the United States. And I've just shown you some of the markets now that said, whoa, we were overzealous. And turns out we didn't have as big of a supply and demand problem as other parts of the country. So understand these two forces and how they work. Demand in one area says, wow, in this city, we are missing 5,000 homes. And this year, we're forecasting building only 1,000 new homes. Well, that means that we're still going to be missing 4,000 more homes that market needs. What's going to happen to prices? They're going to go up. But take another market that said, well, we need 5,000 homes, but all of a sudden a bunch of people decided, you know what? Maybe we don't need a home. Maybe the home we got is just fine. Or maybe the builders were strong enough in the area where they were building enough. All of a sudden, if the demand really isn't there, then guess what? the supply is not going to need to be there either. In other words, we're going to see those prices drop in those markets. You're transitioning from every market under the sun going nuts to now starting to see where long-term fundamentals actually matter. In some ways, a slowdown should be expected. Buyers have lost some urgency now that mortgage rates are starting to rise. So we're starting to return to some concept of normalcy. And while I still believe that the real estate market is going to stay very, very hot as a whole, you're going to have to become more and more careful of what markets you're talking about. You know, Bloomberg basically says it's still better than it was 2 years ago. It just feels so dramatic because we had so many offers, sometimes sight unseen, and now we're starting to see some sense of return of normalcy. And I got to tell you, that's something I'm really excited about because I'm a long-term investor. I buy a house just about every single day. And in the last 90 days, I've opened up 3 new markets. Why? Because the competition was so fierce, it was so crazy, and I knew it wouldn't last forever. In some of the markets I'm playing in, it'll still be hot for a few years because there's such a discrepancy between massive demand and not enough supply. We just now got to make sure we're not talking about the country as a whole, and you got to start going back to looking at individual markets. While certain markets may have been overzealous, there is a number that keeps going up and you should be aware of it. This comes from Realtor.com. While the market is dropping in certain areas of the country, as of June 2021, the US has still fallen short on 5.24 million homes. The demand for homes clearly is still high and it's supporting these high market prices. And in most markets, that is not going to change. Don't know whether to wait, don't know whether to buy? I've got a solution for you. I've actually recently done a study on the top markets that are going to be hot, that are going to go up the most, where you want to focus on buying investment properties. Why? Imagine for a moment if you knew in the next 5 years that a property was going to go up $200,000 in value. What if you just bought 5 of them? What if you didn't even need money to do it? Well, 200,000 plus 200,000 plus 200 plus 200 plus 5 homes in the next 5 years, that could be $1 million. How would you like to walk out of this market a millionaire 5 years from now? In fact, did you know that just in the last 2 years of the pandemic, that millionaires worldwide have increased 10%? It's phenomenal. In fact, this is one of the best markets because we have massive problems that need solving. And if you know how to solve those problems, you're going to do quite well for yourself. Turns out that real estate shortages are really big problems. So guess where the profits are? In supplying homes. If you want to know how to play that game, you definitely need to get a copy of this free guide. Now listen, there's a link below. I will show you my entire wealth building strategy of how to become financially free in less than 5 years. I'll even show you how to invest in real estate totally turnkey, so you don't even need to get your fingers, wet, your toes dirty. You don't need to actually go to Home Depot, and you certainly don't need to talk to tenants. There's a smarter way to play the game. In the link below, this copy is for you. All I ask is that you cover the shipping and handling. My team will send it out to you, and when you get it, I will show you on my last 3,000 homes exactly where and how to buy real estate, even with no money whatsoever. Click the link, get your copy. Listen, today I talked about the markets that are cooling down, but there are other markets that are heating up and you can't ignore them. In fact, if you want to know, out of 324 markets nationwide, the ones where I'm personally buying homes right now, click this video and let me show you how to get it done. In one market, we're missing 5,000 houses, and the supply is 1,000 houses. I'm going to do that all over again. Yeah, from the very top. No, what did I say?